Okay, I am in South Carolina at Myrtle Beach State Park, and I just want to do a real quick informational video for all you first-time minivan campers that are just starting out on your journey. Hopefully this will be helpful. These are things that I've learned on my first journey, and I did watch a lot of videos on YouTube of people that have been doing this nomadically or part-time for a long time, and I learned a lot from them. I really did. Look how beautiful the sky is. But I want you to know there's a few things that I didn't learn that I've learned, on my own that I want to tell you guys about because I think it'll be helpful in your journey. Okay, first of all, tip number one, do not carry so much crap. You don't need it. You won't use it. And I'll give you a few examples. First example is your stove system, your cooking system. You only need to have one stove. I brought a 2-burner and a 1-burner. You don't need the 2-burner. In most cases, you're going to use your little gas 1 burner. Mine's a butane or a propane stove so that, if you run out of butane or you can't find butane at the grocery store, you can always carry propane. That's what I would recommend, just 1 burner. That's all you need. Because unless you're cooking gourmet meals every night, you're not going to use it. That's number one. Number two, you don't need as many clothes, okay? Just carry enough clothes for a week. Even if you're going for 2 weeks, you can always go to the laundromat. It's just too much crap. You're in a small space. You just don't have room for it. Number three, you don't have to carry as many pillows and blankets. I just carried a sleeping pillow, a lumbar pillow, and I also have a Sherpa blanket, and I brought my electric blanket because I'm traveling in the spring, but I never used it as an electric blanket. I just covered with it. And then I have my Coleman 30 to 40 degree sleeping bag, single sleeping bag, folded in half, and I laid it over top of my foam cushions, and I laid on top of that and covered with the blankets. Usually I only needed the 1 blanket because it was pretty comfortable with just the one, but some nights I did use both. That's all you need. All that other crap, all those other blankets, you won't use them. And when you're in a small space like a minivan, you really don't have room for all that crap. So that's number three. Number four, if you're thinking about going to these campgrounds and sleeping in your van, it's not going to happen unless you're going to a tent site. When you make your reservation and you say you're a camper van, they look at a camper van as a converted camper van where you have a full system in there with a pump and water, and they ask you if you have a bathroom. Of course I said yes, even though it's just a little porta potty, it's still a bathroom. But they also want to see more than that. They want to see a conversion in your van. So if you're just sleeping on the floor of your van, 9 times out of 10 you can camp, but then once you get there, a park ranger is going to ask you to leave, or hopefully they'll have another tent site available. If not, you're screwed. So I was at the Manatee Hammock Campground in Florida the other week, or last week, and the park ranger came up to my van and he goes, "Hey ma'am, I got some really bad news for you. You're gonna have to leave." And I said, "Why? I paid for my site and everything." He said, "Because you're sleeping in your van and we don't allow that." And I said, "Well, no, I'm not. I have a full conversion." So he came over to my van. I took him to the back of my van like this. It's a mess back here because I had to bring my clothes up because I had a leak. And I showed him, my refrigerator. I showed him, my sink. And normally I would be using that if my water wouldn't have flooded my van. That's why all my clothes are piled here, because I had to. And look, I have too many clothes. Look at all these clothes. I haven't used even any of them, hardly. But the reason they're back here is because I had my flood happened in my van. So I had to bring them all up from underneath the bed, which they were nice and happy there, and bring them up here. But anyway, he looked at all this and he said, "Oh, okay, well, you have a conversion, because these things here, they lift up," and showed him my bed, he said, "Oh, well, and you can stay here, no problem." But I'm just saying, if you're like buying a minivan and you're thinking, the other thing is there's no BLM land on the East Coast. Like, we have some national forests, but unless you're staying at a Walmart or a Cracker Barrel parking lot, there you could stay, no problem, but you will not be able to stay at a, most of your private campsites and stuff will not allow it. Like Manatee Hammock was not a state park. It was just a regular privately owned campsite. Same thing happened at River's End. not Rivers End. Yeah, Rivers End it happened, and it also happened at Redgate Farms. They questioned my setup, and I told them about my setup, and they let me stay in one of their RV spots, which has electric and water. I could have stayed at a primitive spot. I wouldn't have had a problem with that, because I did that in North Carolina. But what if you're there and they don't have any available now, and you're there, and now what do? Well, you're going to end up finding go to ioverlander.com or go to Campendium and try to find a site that way. But you're going to be panicking now because you have nowhere to sleep, and that sucks. So just a tip on that. And don't carry. I got 5 gallons of water when I first started out, and I just added 3 gallons. I used them all within a week and a day. So you don't need to bring a lot of water with you. I normally would have 13.5 gallons if my tanks are full on board, which would have been plenty for my 2 weeks. But it turned out that, like I said, they flooded my van and I never got to fill them. So I would say, just start out with 5 gallons, put them in the van somewhere, and then when you run out, just go and get more. It's easy enough to find a grocery store. Don't load up your van with all this stuff that you can't keep. And that's about all. Make sure you have, power. Jackery. A Jackery is great. I have a Jackery 1000, or like I'll show it to you now. It's in here. My Jackery 1000. It's actually fully powered. I can unplug it. Pull this out here so you can see it. It's my Jackery 1000. It's at 99%. I'm using the shore power right now. And then back here, I have a 240. I have a little fan running from my dog. I have a little 240 under here. So there's my fan. It's an iPolar. It's a USB powered fan. I strongly recommend these if you have pets. It has a little hook on it, which you can hook anywhere. I don't have it hooked in right now, but I just have it sitting there. But it hooks onto that little thing. So anyway, here's my storage system. Oh, one more thing. Make sure you have a place for your car keys and your phone at all times. I mean, I've lost my phone. I had it hanging in this pocket, one of these little pockets behind my chair, my seat. And I was charging it with my Jackery, and I forgot I put it there, and I had to have a guy call my phone because I literally could not find my phone. So have a place to keep things like all the time, like stay organized. It's another tip, because otherwise you'll be losing stuff the whole time and you'll be so freaking frustrated. So hopefully that was all information for you that you can take and use. I wish somebody would have told me some of this stuff before I started out. Like I said, I watched a lot of videos. I learned a lot from these people, and they're awesome. But there's things that they just didn't tell me. And they're on the West Coast, most of them. Most of them are out there in the BLM land, or they're in Oregon or somewhere over there, Arizona, where there's lots of BLM land. But the East Coast is different. There's not a lot of videos from people on the East Coast that are doing this. So I thought I'd, do this to help you guys out on the East Coast. Okay? Hope you have a blessed day, and I'll see you guys at the next stop.